Hello and welcome to my channel Fleece and Fibre Crafts. Here I hope to share all things fleece and fibre, especially painting with wool. I hope you enjoy. If you do, hit the subscribe button. Thank you. In today's video, I'm going to share my process of needle felting a 2D portrait and how I go about what is essentially painting with wool. In an earlier video, I shared the process of wet felting your own background, and in today's video, I use that same piece of felt as the base to create a wool portrait through a needle felting technique. For this project, I also purchased some Jacob Fleece and Jacob carded fibre bats to use alongside my other fibres. For most of my projects, I use a finer gauge needle, often swapping between a 38, 40 and 42 gauge triangular needle. I use a fine liner Sharpie to mark out my portraits using a reference photo. My reference photo for this piece is by Dan Bell and was sourced via a reference photo for artists social media group. To transfer the image, I position it carefully on top of my felt base fabric and pin into place. Using a drawing pin, I then begin to poke holes following the outline of the reference image. Then it's simply a case of connecting the dots. As you see, I don't fully remove the reference image until I've marked the outlines, just in case I need to remark areas. Working on a hand wet felted base is a little more tricky to mark out as the surface is more textured, but it's a lovely surface to needle felt onto. Then it's time to gather my fibre and needles and begin felting. I almost always begin any portrait by needle felting in the eyes. A delicate operation when they are small like this. But yeah, I think it adds just a bit of life to the portrait starting off and motivates me to keep going. I'm using DH carded Maori fibre for the eyes and whole face actually. It's a lovely soft fibre to work with, and the needles I have are a 38G triangular and 40G triangular. I tend to swap between needles depending on the resistance and the area I'm working on. After completing the first eye, I continue working on the surrounding area, using black and shades of grey to build up colour and areas of light and shade. This is probably the most time-consuming part of the portrait, but it's important to just take your time and enjoy the process. Needle felting is a slow medium, but it's hugely therapeutic. And it's just magical when a little face begins to emerge through the fibres. You'll also see here that I hand blend fibres to achieve a certain shade to define areas of the face. To do that, you simply take a small amount of your fibre in 2 or more colours, layer them on top of one another and gently tease apart, layering again and repeating that process until you have the desired blend. Black fur or hair on any animal is usually quite difficult to depict, as you do have to use other colours of fibre like greys and even blues and purples to pick out those areas of highlight, so that the features have definition and it's not just a solid matte black expansive fibre. I keep going with this side of the face before moving to the other half. There is no hard and fast rule where or how to go about painting with wool. Everyone is different and will approach their subject differently, and that's fine. It's important to keep referring back to your reference image, but the artistic license is yours and you can create your portrait any way you want. For the horns, again I hand blend a mix of greys to show areas of shade and lighter beige and cream for areas of highlight. I also use the lighter cream fibre to define the ridges of the horns, adding texture to their appearance. Then it's on to the other side, again just following the same pattern, starting with the eye and going from there. For the sheep's body, I use the carded Jacob bat to block in areas of colour before adding the top fleece. From the Jacob fleece, I tease apart areas containing the lighter tips, snipping away the excess fibre. These lighter areas just help to add definition and make the fleece more realistic looking on the portrait. You'll see me pick out bits of vegetable matter as I work. This is because the fleece hasn't been carded like the bats, but it's beautifully soft and washed. The Jacob fleece has quite a different texture to the fibre that I normally work with. It's more coarse with more guard hairs present, which are thicker, shorter hairs. But because of the subject of the portrait and who it's intended for, I really wanted to use the Jacob fleece for the main body of the sheep. The Jacob fibres didn't lend themselves to the colour or texture I needed for the face and horns, which is why I used the carded Maori. The chest area here was a little more difficult in terms of finding fibres which were the right texture and which looked right. I just had to carefully sort through the fleece and tease apart areas which I thought would work, but it turned out well. Once I'm happy with my portrait, I carefully peel it away from the foam block, and there you have it, a beautifully handcrafted portrait painted in fleece and fibre. From wet felting the base fabric to needle felting the Jacob portrait, this piece is completely handcrafted. I loved the entire process of this wool painting, and I hope you enjoyed following along as I demonstrated how I paint with wool. Thank you for watching. I hope you found that useful. If you'd like to see more of what I do, please subscribe and also follow me on social media at Fleece and Fibre Crafts. I'd love to have you follow along on my fleece and fibre journey.